Hello and welcome to the Two Dudes Movie Podcast. It's Zack Snyder week here as we break down the Snyderverse and where we think it could be going. On our first episode, we talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League and what we think. More on that after the jump. Zack Snyder's Justice League is certainly a movie, for want of a better word.
Is it? I don't think it is. I think it's gone past that.
I think it's legend. It will go down, and I genuinely believe this. I think it will go down in Hollywood history as an event.
I remember when I first watched it, I turned to Ness and I said, it didn't feel necessarily like a movie. Of course, that sounds ridiculous, but it was very much an art piece. This was a moment in history. And I remember I watched it on the day it came out, that morning. So I watched the entire 4 hours in one sitting, and I sat there and I went, I need to see this as it's a moment in history that I need to be a part of.
So I found that interesting.
It was interesting.
So you say you watched it all the way through?
Yeah.
Straight in one sitting?
Yep.
Did you stop at any point?
No.
Toilet break? Nothing?
Nope.
Commitment. Did you watch any of the other DCEU movies before?
No, God, no, I'm not. I wouldn't want to do that to myself.
Okay, so for me, leading up to this, I watched Man of Steel, which I haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
And Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, which I absolutely love.
The only edition
and then
you
I
ever
went
watch.
into Justice League. I didn't watch it day one. I think I watched it day 2 or 3 after it came out. Or maybe even day 4, because I was worried about it. And I did not watch it in one sitting, but I watched it in one day because I kept going away. I can't sit through most things. That's nothing to do with a movie. That's just I can't really sit and do one thing.
Yeah.
So I watched I watched up to chapter 2, and I struggle with that. I watched up to chapter 2, and then took a break. Watched up to chapter 4, and then took a break and watched up to and then watched through to the end. But I was like, I'll watch it over a few days. Was my intention going into it. No commitment. It's fine. We've got time.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong. I couldn't stop. I just wanted more of it. I kept being like, but what's happening there? And the way I would liken it to, and we know this was originally touted as being streamed as 6 episodes, and I think it's up there with the best streaming shows in terms of that story, that drive that you have to I want to finish this. Well,
it's because I think that is because of the fact that it was originally filmed as one coherent story, and so you don't get any satisfaction of an ending. And I think it's actually quite interesting that we're sitting here talking about how to watch this, because we've been doing that with both series now on Disney Plus. Was WandaVision the one you wanted to binge, or was is Falcon the Winter Soldier the one that you want to watch all the way through? And I think this is one of the ones that you were given the option to do whatever you wanted with, unlike those two. And
it turned out binging was the only way.
Well, yeah, we both had different approaches and reached the same conclusion of you just couldn't put it down. And I'd honestly say, I have watched 2-hour films, half the time of this movie, that have felt 4 times as long.
Yeah.
The one thing this movie does really well is it keeps you invested. You want to keep, as you found, you want to keep going back, but you don't want to take your eyes off it.
So, to compare to something I watched recently, I watched very recently because I'm rewatching the whole series. I watched the Hobbit Trilogy before watching Lord of the Rings, because I haven't really seen it since it came out, and I thought, let's see how this sits. I think it took 5 sittings across different days to watch the second movie.
I'm pretty sure I was talking to you about it for a week, where you were just like, I'm going to go watch The Hobbit. What?
Yeah, and no, but one movie took 5 sittings across days, because I would sit down and watch it for 20 minutes. It would feel like an hour had gone by, and I'd look at the bar at the bottom, and I wasn't even halfway, and I was like, I can't. And those are long movies, but at no point during this did I turn it off because I was like, oh, it's still going. I turned it off because I'm going to go do something, eat food, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, but now I'm ready to watch again, and I want to watch this. This is it.
Well, it's I'll put it this way. I did a similar thing last May the 5th, obviously I'm a massive Star Wars fan, I attempted and succeeded. Obviously there's more than 24 hours there, so I had to put it over 2 days. But I watched every Star Wars. This is the movies, not anything anthology, not the solos or anything like that. But I watched them all. I am a massive Star Wars fan. I love those movies. I could not sit through some of them. Yeah. I had to pause and go back to them. I did the same thing with Marvel, exactly the same sort of thing. I watched them all concurrently every day, and I had to turn off on some of them just because I just couldn't sit through them for the entire time when they were half the length of this movie. It's brilliant.
I also want a disclaimer. I did not go into this wanting to like it as much as I did end up liking it. I wanted it to be good because I thought, if this is bad, it's just a waste of my life.
Yeah.
But I think it genuinely exceeded my expectations in a way I really didn't anticipate it would. I thought, this will be fine. This will be good. It will easily be better than Justice League by Joss Whedon. I think it will stand in a way I really like Batman vs Superman. It will stand there. And I just think it blew away my expectations.
Yeah.
And I think for those people saying, it's boring, it's long, it's this, it's that, and it's no different. I think you wanted to go into it hating it, and you've come out with that conclusion.
Yeah.
I think if you went into this with not necessarily optimism, but just an open mind, I think you got something out of it. And I think this really is a good movie.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours, and it's still a good movie. And if you'd have put this in the cinema with an intermission in the middle, I think it's still a good movie. I don't think because it's at home it was better, blah, 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 blah.
Now, you've spoken a bit about your expectations there, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think if you went into this with an open mind, because I went into this, I enjoyed. I don't know if I wouldn't go anywhere near as saying it was a good movie at all, but I enjoyed the Justice League because it was superhero outing. It was fun. It was lighthearted. But then the more I looked at it, the more I watched it, the more I learned about it. I went, "Holy crap, this is bad," and that is part of a movie. That is part of the experience. It's what. Especially in this day and age, the experience of watching a movie includes inside of it what happened with the actors, how the actors felt about it, what happened with publicity, what happened in production of it. Because gone are the days where you can watch a movie and not care about whether it was a good movie to make. If you watch a movie and you go, well, this person was actually abused on the set of it, you're not going to enjoy the movie as much. And I think that's just the way that the world now works. And I think as much as... So you go into this, and I think this is where I kind of stood with it. Obviously, we both did theatre at university, where quite a lot of theatre pieces, and I think Ray Fisher being part of this is a big moment, really, because I think it kind of, for me, emphasises the difference between this and other movies. If you go into a theatre piece, you have kind of two different experiences. You have people who go in there going, okay, this is entertainment, and people who go in there looking for the craft. Yeah. And it very much becomes a different experience. It's very much an art piece. The same reason when you go into an art gallery, you have people who look there for the pretty paintings and people who look there for the craft of what goes into it. For me, I went into this watching it for the craft, watching it for, okay, this is not necessarily what this movie would have been if it came out as a blockbuster movie, but what we're getting here is the artistic interpretation of the shoot. And that meant I went into it with this completely different mentality of, okay, I'm less going to think of the story bits and more going to think of how it's made and the way that it's made and the way that the characterization's there, the way that it's acted. Which quite often will ruin movies for me, especially the likes of Star Wars movies. It kind of ruins it a little bit, like Rise of Skywalker, for example. If you go into it with that, I'm going to look at the craft here, you're going to kind of hate it. But this movie delivered on it. It meant that I went and watched a superhero movie which I liked for the narrative and the story and the craftsmanship.
So I think that's really important to me to mention that this was not the movie that was going to be released. It was never going to be released in theatres when it came out in 2017.
Yeah.
This is the movie that we have ended up with as a result, with Zack Snyder being able to fully fulfill his vision of what a Justice League movie looks like and create it in his own way. I think all that proves to me is that we need to trust in creatives and go back to movies being this sort of art film and form, and I don't mean these sort of indie Oscar bait movies where they're allegedly artistic or whatever. Just because a movie's sad and has something sad talked about in it doesn't make it artistic. And I think there are examples of Oscar bait movies that are really good and they do have actual craft in them, but I think a lot of the time it is just, well, is the movie sad? Does it talk about topical issues? Yeah, well, that's an Oscar movie then. But I think here is an example of someone who's taken a movie in his vision, and I don't think everything lands. I think there is far too much slow motion in this.
Oh my god, and I remember saying I remember saying to you at the start of when we were talking about doing this episode, I was like, I worried at the first half an hour. I was like, oh my god, is every scene going? It's so Zack Snyder. Is every scene going to end with a slow-mo walking with loads of really weird music on the back? And I was like,
some woman sniffing a jumper.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't hit, but it
was too much.
The point is, it is Zack Snyder. You watch this and you go, this. It's almost like a show reel of his, of everything that makes him him. You watch this movie and you go, yeah, that's Zack Snyder.
So, to very quickly touch on something you talked about there, we are recording this today. The day after Ray Fisher released a expose in the Hollywood Reporter regarding his time and other people's experiences it touches on the set of Justice League. Now, the original set, post Zack Snyder leaving, his experiences working with Joss Whedon and the suits at Warner Brothers. Now, it's clear at this point, I think, for anyone to see, and I think you have to be honest with yourself, that there were problems there. I think Joss Whedon is incredibly problematic. Yeah. Avengers movies, Avengers 1 and Avengers 2, I'm a defender, a staunch defender of Avengers 2. I think it's a great Avengers movie. I, in many ways, prefer it to the first one, okay? I can also separate the fact that he is a terrible person, and there is no shaking or changing that. I think the more I see people go online and say, can we not judge a man by his worst experiences, blah, 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 I think we can, because they're his most recent experiences. Yeah. And people were not so much seriously hurt being the problem, which they were, in terms of emotional trauma. The fact it was denied, and Ray Fisher himself has been berated with hate for telling the truth, is just quite disturbing, if you will.
100%.
And I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I just want to acknowledge that that's what happened, and I think people need to start accepting that and allowing things to move forward by making the changes that have to be made. This movie, for me, before this expose, consolidated it as the truth, because you have Cyborg, a completely different character in this movie. You have Silas Stone, a completely different character in this movie. You have Ryan Choi, who wasn't even in the other movie. You have Iris West, who wasn't even in the other movie. And there is a commonality that people of colour were removed from the first movie. And you can spin it in any way you want. Those characters were unnecessary. Those scenes were unnecessary.
But it's not a coincidence. You could have cut Martha Kent in the same sense. She doesn't really add anything. You could have just done it with Lois, but you have Martha Kent because she's there. You valued her, but didn't value Silas Stone, who I think is far more important to this movie than Martha Kent is. The one thing I want to say on it is this. As I said, we live in a world now where people are more in tune with how people are treated than they've ever been before. And I do actually understand the criticism that people get of that people are offended by too much these days. I get where people are coming from with that because of the complete polarity difference between what it used to be like and what it is now. But it's not because people are being offended more now. It's because what's happening nowadays is that people aren't standing for it. We've grown up, me and you are in that generation where we grew up with most of our childhoods being this, you should never back. You should never watch on as someone gets bullied. You should always stand up for people who are getting bullied. You should always make sure your voice is heard. And so this generation growing up with that and is now living up to that potential that we've been taught. We've been told you need to stand up for it. You can't stand for, violence. You can't stand for racism. You can't stand for anything like that. You've got to stand up for these people. And now we're doing that, which is why it looks like these things are only happening now, and so people are being more offended now. But actually, what it is just people aren't turning a blind eye anymore.
Yeah,
and that matters more. And so it doesn't matter which side of the fence you fall on. That means you now have to get with a program. It does not matter if you are an incredible director who's made some incredible movies and some brilliant TV shows. If you are problematic and you do not get with the program of just treating people right, it doesn't matter if you're good, it's not good enough. It's
not passable.
No, exactly. Okay. And then that's the bottom line. You to take it back 5-10 years, I can't remember when it happened. It feels like an age ago, but I absolutely adored Kevin Spacey in most of his movies. But I will not forgive him on that basis.
Yes.
Because I can look at his movies and go, yes, he's an incredible actor, but he's also an arsehole.
Yeah.
And that it's just two separate things.
Yes. So I just wanted to touch on it because it's very poignant at the moment, and I think it just plays into the transparency you see in this movie, the way that certain characters are presented very, very differently. I think it's clear the effect that was brought to the movie by Joss Whedon. So, moving on, we're going to break this movie down character by character pretty much. We're going to talk about a couple of scenes specifically, which those of you who've seen it will obviously know what I'm referring to. And I just want to start with the man himself, the Bat, the Batman,
the man who dresses
Ben
the Bat.
Affleck as Bruce Wayne and Batman.
The man whose superpower is he's rich. I'd say this.
Go on.
I've always loved Batfleck. I've always thought for the age and the era of Batman he's depicting, he has done it perfectly. And I felt that in Justice League because I think his characterization does shine through. The thing I was kind of surprised at, actually, I thought was a Justice League inclusion, but actually was Zack Snyder. Batman is lighter. He's more hopeful. He says that one line to Alfred. It's, for once in my life, I'm acting on faith. And that's, as a character development, Zack Snyder has very much, in one little change, completely highlighted the effect that Superman has on Batman.
Yeah.
And it explains everything. And it explains everything. It even explains, and this sounds so stupid to say it goes that far back, it even explains Martha. It explains that moment. Because it shows that Superman has gotten through to Batman. He's changed him fundamentally as a person by just seeing this person who I thought was evil and dangerous. He's just like a normal person. Just because he has he has a mother, and it got through to him. It made him realise, I need to do everything I can to help this person because he's not the wrong. He's not in the wrong. I need to fight for the light, and he's the light.
My of all the Snyderverse we've had so far, my singular favourite thing is Batman.
Yeah.
I feel personally robbed of a Batman movie or TV show or whatever. Genuinely, this is my favourite version of Batman that exists.
Yeah, 100%.
I think this is the best Batman movie that exists. In a way, and I just really, really and for those of you that are now getting, oh, you just think everything's great. Boy, I'm about to rip some people real bad. I think Batman is just phenomenal in every way, and I love him, and I wish Ben Affleck would just stay doing it forever. And he probably won't. He probably won't do anything else.
I understand why it's a different... from what
I know,
everything's came out about him and his experiences being Batman. It's a shame because I think...
it's inspired casting.
Yeah.
And he does a great performance. He has a great story and development, as you said. I defend the Martha moment. I think if you're making fun of that Martha moment, you're saying you've always thought it was weird that Superman and Batman have the same parents and that they must also, same mum's name, sorry, and they must also have already noticed that, because it would shock you to your core. Yeah. And I think it's very strange. And I don't think it works in any other adaptation. I think you have to take Batman as he is in that movie. He's still mourning the loss of his parents. We see it here in the nightmare scene. Yeah. He is still mourning the loss of his parents all the way down the line. Yeah. And to have someone say your mum's name just as you're about to kill them would make you stop and not understand. Yeah. And we're not doing Battle vs Superman, but I think it's good. And yeah.
I'm sorry, but so a lot of people who hate that moment are Marvel fans, right? And I'd say this to you: how much did you hate the moment where, in Civil War and then in Endgame, Steve says, "I just heard Bucky and I froze." Yeah. One name. That's all it is. One name.
No one hates that.
You could argue to say Bucky's name's a bit more peculiar. So, of course, if you hear it very, very instantly. But I'm sorry, if I turned around and said your mother's name, you're going to recognise it, and the first person you're, of course, going to think about is your mother. And if she's dead, of course, it's going to affect you.
More importantly, if your mum died and you've been carrying that with you every day for the rest of your life, and that's why you do what you do every day, you probably would. Anyway, Batman, he's great. Yeah. Don't at me.
Really is.
In fact, you can at me, and I'll at you right back at how
Love
great
that
Batman
beard.
Is.
Kind of wanted him to keep it. Kind of wanted him to keep the beard.
The beard was pretty cool. I'll tell you what also made me happy about Batman. So the scene at the very, very end with Martian Manhunter.
The reshot.
He looks really good. He looks really happy and healthy. Yeah. And this sounds stupid, but like he looked so not good in the Justice League reshoots, the original Joss Whedon Justice League reshoots.
Yeah, you could tell it was getting to him.
Yeah, he looks much better, and I just wish he'd be Batman. Moving on, because he won't be. Okay, we have a big boy, big boots, big black suit now, actually, because he's also wearing the exact same outfit as Batman. Is your boy Superman?
Yeah. Okay. I struggled to make notes on this one, and I think that is purely because, as much as Superman is a focus through this movie, I actually wouldn't call him a key character. Because he only kind of turns up at the end. But the one thing I liked, and I say this again, it's the characterization. It's always the thing I always pick up on in movies. Superman, to me, was always the epitome of hope. He was always this person who just came out and you went, yes, he's a Boy Scout, yes, he's perfect and stuff like that. But it's because he is hope embodied. And so the thing that goes against him, his big arch nemesis, is always the fear, the devoid of hope, the pessimist in all of us. And my God, was this film pessimistic. So for him to come back at the end and save the day is tip-top Superman. It's the whole reason why the nightmare scene scares us so much, the whole reason why this film has to be so dark, so pessimistic, not bright orange, is because of the fact that it's devoid of hope. Because Superman is dead, the embodiment of hope is dead. So when he came back, that moment of him just like stopping Steppenwolf's axe and go, not impressed. It was that, okay, Superman's back, we're all safe because we've all got hope again.
I like the way you put it, the artistry behind it again, the writing purpose. I don't care for Superman as a character. I've got nothing particularly against Henry Cavill in the role. I don't think I've seen, at least not properly, all the way through another Superman movie. I'd kind of jumped off the CW before Superman got up and running. I just personally don't really care about his existence. Yeah. And I think the problem with him is the problem I see in this is, okay, so what other movie can we do? Because if Superman exists, there's not a problem. Like, Batman can't go fight the Joker because he just goes, hey, Supes, can you come and put him in jail? And he just does. And I think they haven't done made a good enough excuse for what happens to all villainy ever now that Superman exists and can fly really, really fast and get anywhere and blah, 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 blah. I just think Superman sort of breaks universes, and I was very happy when he died from a universe perspective, or I'd be very happy if he was evil.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of Superman being evil because I like the idea that he could actually just kill you all instantly, but he's choosing not to.
Yeah.
There's a bit of him holding on to not.
This is kind of what I say in that case is, it's that same thing as what we said about like Hulk and what Black Widow said to me is the person's always avoiding the fight. With Superman, he is infinitely more. He's a Superman. If he's faced against just a normal man, he's gonna win.
Yeah.
It's about the psychology, and I think one of the things that they've always done, well, they've not always done, but recently they've done quite well in the comics, is that they've gone, Superman is very good at being Superman, but he's not very good at being Clark Kent. And so I think in a Justice League movie, unless you find a way of facing, you always have that issue of you either face someone who can beat Superman and thus everyone else is kind of pointless, or you get rid of Superman and face someone who can kind of be matched by everyone else, and then Superman comes to save the day like he does in this movie.
Yeah, what I really like about Superman's antimony, and what's the word for an antonym? Antonymony, whatever that word should be.
Yep.
An antonym. His villain being Lex Luthor is that he has got no strength at all, but he is the brains. He can outsmart Superman at every single turn, and I would look forward if we were going to get any more, which we might, we'll see. Would look forward to where that relationship will develop. The other character hugely in Superman's life is Lois Lane, who Amy Adams is great. She exists. Again, because I don't particularly care about Superman. I like their relationship. I think they have really good chemistry, and I feel for both those characters. She's pregnant, which is being confirmed.
Yeah.
But you see the pregnancy test in a drawer, and I was like, oh, is she pregnant? Which, again, could be an interesting story.
I think it makes...
It's just that whole side of things just doesn't really grip me particularly because it's so much like, well, she's also never in danger.
Yeah. I think it makes complete sense that in Zack Snyder's future of this thing, their child becomes the new Batman. Because... Which for
reference,
sense.
For those of you who don't know, was basically a leaked... It wasn't a leaked storyboard. It was in they put it up in some sort of gallery or something. His original storyboard structure for Justice League 2 to 5, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which now won't happen because there's already stuff in this movie, I believe, that contradicts stuff that would happen down the line. Yeah. But the bare bones can stay the same. So like Superman's child becoming Batman sort of thing.
But no, I think Lois's inclusion in this was good. I think her conversation that she had with Martha. I think one of the things it does quite well, and I'm unsure of the exact... I don't know which parts were reshot and stuff. That conversation that she had, and again, this is probably me looking at it as more of an art form than as a movie. That conversation she has with Martha, which of course we ended up finding out was Martian Manhunter, almost felt like a conversation someone had had with Zack Snyder after the death of his daughter. Because it was there was a fair few moments in this movie where not only the "you are not alone" was there, and obviously that's what Cyborg's whole motivation was at the end. They're pulled straight from the suicide charities and stuff like that. The places that are there to help people who suffered with the same issues that or similar issues that Zack Snyder's daughter was suffering with. And I think it's a real nice... It was a nice moment that I watched and went, yeah, that's an important... In all of this circus of superheroes and stuff like that, it's important to remember... Like, a lot of people go to watch movies to escape, but it's important to remember the reality that these people are still people. Yeah. And so still suffer with the same things.
I think... It's a poignant moment. It's not something that specifically came out to me, spoke to me in any way. But I think that is one of the problems that the 4-hour movie does suffer with is There's so much you lose. The finer moment, if it was the only fine moment, might have stood out more. There is quite a few of those slow conversations. Again, some having significantly more impact than others.
Yeah.
Specifically for me, the bit with Cyborg and his father's little voice recorder. I found that was a moment that stood out to me, especially when he rebuilds that thing he crushed.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, we'll come to it more when we talk about Cyborg. In fact, we'll just talk about Cyborg a bit. The way his father gives him the ability to rebuild his final words.
Yeah.
Just was really poignant. And I have some major problems with Cyborg's character. I don't think he's perfect. No. I don't think he makes a huge amount of sense. I think a lot of the stuff he does is a bit ridiculous and is like, just either be on the team or don't be on the team.
Yeah. He's very much a sulking teenager at points.
Yeah, and I just feel a bit like I think the performance itself is good. I think the writing potentially is what lets it down. He's very like, I hate you all, I'm not helping you. Oh, I'll help you though. I'll help you. But I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm not going to be happy. Unless I am. I'm enjoying it a bit, but I'm also not. It's just very much like...
I think it's important. So this is where my dissertation at university came in handy. The difference between theatre and screen acting, especially Hollywood. So this was Ray Fisher's first movie.
Yeah.
There's moments in there, I don't know if you picked up on them, but there's moments in there where I was definitely watching it going, that was a decision made by a theatre actor. Because a lot of his acting comes from his voice rather than physicality. But
I would say, to be fair to his credit, when you are 90% CGI, that's actually like a really useful skill to be able to have, and clever thing to make that choice.
Yeah. Because
you do only have half his face. You can't rely on his body language in the same way you can with other characters, because it is all CGI. Obviously, it's mocapped, I assume, but it is all CGI.
But I think because of that, it meant that the slightly off-kilter writing was highlighted a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what he does when he goes and finds that woman and gives him money.
Was a nice moment.
I thought it was quite... I haven't seen anyone else who got the same idea, but I thought, is that Sarah? Is that the woman... I think it's Sarah. He helps someone and he gets told off and he says he cheated and now he gets expelled. I thought, is that the same woman? Because is this a few years later? Is that the same woman and he's now helping her again?
No, because I'm pretty sure it happened within... I'm pretty sure his accident and then this happened quite close to each other, because... I'm not sure exactly the timeline between Batman vs Superman and this movie, but I'm pretty sure it happened just when Batman vs Superman was happening.
No, his accident was before Batman vs Superman, because they find the footage
of
Cyborg
that's where that
in
comes
the movie.
From.
But I don't know how long. Again, it might not be. It was just the impression I got on was like he just wanted to. Either way, he wanted to help people. I thought the visuals of the way he sees the world was really interesting. But again, and I think it's just me and overpowered people. I'm just a bit like, okay, so he can just do anything.
Yeah.
Is he gonna? Nope, he's not gonna. So they're like, the ship, I'm gonna make it fly. Why not just buy the best ship in the world? Because you can.
Yeah.
Because, like, Batman's superpower is rich. Okay, you're going to make Clark Kent rich and everyone you know rich. We're just going to make him all rich now?
Yeah.
Good. No. Okay, we're not going to do that. And I'm just a bit like, he could just do whatever he wants, and he doesn't, and I don't know why he doesn't.
Yeah, but to counter that, why doesn't Iron Man make Iron Man suits for all of the Avengers?
Yeah, because he's, for want of a better phrase, a prick.
But
that's sort of his character.
I think the difference in DC is that you have to hide a lot, and so if Bruce Wayne went and gave millions of pounds to Superman, to Clark Kent, they go, why these two people have reason to be in conversation with each other? Okay. Why is he just giving him loads of money?
So why did he make Wayne Manor into the Hall of Justice? Just saying.
Well, yeah.
Just saying.
It's kind of like how they always go, well,
oh,
Wayne Enterprises sponsors all the Justice League stuff in like all the comics and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, we got it for this from Wayne Enterprises, and like, yeah, Bruce Wayne's Batman.
Yes. Anyway, so I just don't think we got a feel enough for Cyborg's character. I think, or I didn't. It might have just. But I tell you what, it was because we've not met him before. I was more focused on the Batman, the Wonder Woman, the Superman.
But it was 10 times better than anything we got in Justice League.
Yes, it was definitely better. I felt there was a character there. I really liked Silas Stone as a character and that relationship that he had with his father. That felt real to me. That felt like something you would see. It felt like he hates his father for doing this to him, and then he realizes that, well, what was the choice? He loses everyone. Yeah. And I think because Cyborg then loses his father and can't save him, you get that exact same thing of like, he's like, fine, I'm going to die. I'll break the mother box apart, and if I die, I die. Because he is now seeing where his father was stood with his son dying on a table. It's like, you either put this weird alien technology on him, or he dies, and you don't have another choice.
Yeah.
And I think seeing Cyborg sort of come to that, not come to the revelation, but being put in that position of like, okay, well, now you've lost everyone. How do you understand it? And he's like, I don't care, fine, I'll die. That's it. I've got nothing left to live for. Obviously, he doesn't. But yeah, Cyborg, interesting. I want to see more, and I don't think we're ever going to, because Warner Brothers are stupid and won't just accept fault and move on.
Yeah.
And that frustrates me, because I think Ray Fisher is phenomenal, and I hope Marvel scoops him up and says,
100%.
We're going to take you. And I think it would be, going back to that issue, I think it would be a phenomenal look for Disney to believe in this guy. Yeah. Effectively, to believe it and go, well, we're not going to do that to you. Anyway, Wonder Woman, the other one of the main trilogy. We've got Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. She's had 2 solo movies. I haven't even seen Wonder Woman 1984 yet.
Oh, it's weird. And I think this is my constant feeling with Wonder Woman. I'm kind of in the same place as you are with Superman. I just don't seem to really care for her. She always, for me, feels a little bit out of place alongside the other 2 in the Trinity. And I feel like it's because even in Wonder Woman 84, we get a lot of psychology of her, but we don't get the whole... Decisions are made for her. I think this is the issue I had in Wonder Woman 84. Decisions were made for her. She didn't choose to do a lot. She was told, you need to do this. She wasn't the warrior that I think we saw. The closest I got to really, really liking Wonder Woman. Of course, I like her. I think Gal Gadot is still the best choice for her. I think it's brilliant. I think that the first Wonder Woman especially was brilliant. But the moment in this movie where I went, yes, she's a warrior, was when she chopped off Steppenwolf's head. That moment of, I have absolutely zero remorse, you're going down. That was, get in there. Great, well done.
So you talked about the I love that moment too. You talked about the Trinity. I actually think what this movie, this series has done a really, really good job of, mainly this movie, for me, is, so the Trinity in the Justice League is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Compared to the trilogy in the Avengers, which is Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I think to Marvel-splain it, in Marvel you have Thor, who is like a god, who is considered worthy by the universe. Captain America, who we learn later is considered worthy, but has the least power of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Iron Man, who is sort of in the middle in terms of power-wise, and is not worthy in any way, sort of thing. No. They all fit. If you do one of those like cross grid things, they all are a different one. They're all in a different box. I've always felt like Wonder Woman and Superman, in all the cartoons I've seen, all the bits of comics I've seen, well, they're just the same, aren't they? It's just a woman Superman.
Well, that was
a man Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And I think what this series has really done for me is highlight the uniqueness of all of them. Batman has always been different than the other 2, but now I feel you've got Batman as sort of the Captain America who's always going to fight, who will never stop fighting. Yeah. You've got Superman as sort of a Thor who believes, again, he's always right, but has all the power. And Wonder Woman's in sort of the middle, whereas like they're all sort of on the right side of things, but she's in between them in terms of power, but is sort of a voice of virtue in terms of she's the voice of reason. She can see things from one side and see things from the other and knows what the best plan is, but can listen to both. And I just really like Wonder Woman in this universe and in this movie, and I really, like you said you didn't get the Warrior, I feel like she's not a superhero. She doesn't feel like a superhero. She feels like a woman out of time.
Yeah.
Who is stuck, which Captain America sort of lost later on, which I think Wonder Woman is stuck with. The visual look she's got, the way the costume just looks at odds with everyone else. It's fantastic. I love Wonder Woman, the first movie. Haven't seen the second one because everyone told me it was bad, so I didn't bother watching it. And I think she's even better here. I think she is so good. That Batman, then Wonder Woman, like if you just recast and changed everything else about this universe, I wouldn't care if you keep those two.
Yeah.
That's how exceptional about Gal Gadot is just excellent. I'm basically just saying how great Wonder Woman and Batman are. That's basically the point of this review. For me. I don't really know what else I'm saying. I think the moment at the end was great. I think the way she talks to Bruce, she's a god, or she's half god or whatever. And she's just chatting to him, and I just find it fascinating.
Yeah, I like that moment with Alfred as well, when they're talking about him, and like Bruce gets the idea for the braces and stuff like that. There's a very human nature part of her. I just feel like because she's so fish out of water at points, I don't feel like the character doesn't allow herself to become part of the world she's in.
But I like that she's not. That's what I like. I like that she's not just another one. She's not just modernized herself. She's still the Amazon warrior, which means I want to talk about the Amazons. Now, the scene here was butchered in the first Justice League. And I think one of the things I wanted to point out was that I want to say this as a negative because it really does frustrate me. And I've seen lots of defense for it and blah, 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 blah. It's stupid. Why are the Amazons wearing, some of them, which is half a problem, wearing weird armor bikinis? Now,
the only thing I could think of in defense is dexterity, but yeah.
Well, I don't so much mind that Wonder Woman has a lot of skin on show, and I like the argument of like it's sort of female 300. They've got boots up to the knees, but then their like arms are out, their legs are out. They've got a little kilt skirt thing. And like some sort of armor plate. I don't mind that. What I mind is just the fact that there's people wearing as much as Wonder Woman. There's people wearing more than Wonder Woman, and there's also people wearing these weird armor bikini things.
Yeah, significantly less than Wonder Woman.
Significantly less, and I'm just like, but
the official rating.
Wouldn't you be annoyed if you were like, they're like handing out the armor, and they're like, yeah, you get all this, you get some shoulder pads, some knee stuff, some chest plate, blah blah blah, some gauntlets. Yeah, you just get this bikini, just make it work. I'm like, where's my armor?
Well, this is the thing. The interesting thing here, as with you have not watched Wonder Woman 84, is that the gold armor that we see in all the promo and stuff for Wonder Woman 84. The whole point of that is battle armor for their person who they sent to almost fight the biggest villain, the whole of mankind, to fend them off, to make sure the Amazonians can escape. Like, but if you're defending a mother box, which you know because you were freaking there in that massive fight against Darkseid, why aren't they all wearing that massive amount of armor? If you know how dangerous this thing is, why are you not all armed to the teeth and defending yourselves? You've created this giant elaborate thing that means that it can just sink into the ocean if it's there, if you get a slight chance, but you're turning up with all your arms and legs showing.
Yeah, it just frustrates me, and no one will ever convince me it makes sense. So you can I go on, just try and find the logic.
I understand the dexterity thing. I think if you look at how Wonder Woman and how the Amazonians fight, they need to be light on their feet. They need to be able to move quite a lot and be quite agile.
They're making them wear what Wonder Woman's got on.
Well, exactly.
It just doesn't make sense to me. It never will. Just it was just weird because I kept seeing them. They're all like, it's like, I was like, okay, well here's a way it makes sense. It's rank. So the higher rank you are, the more armor you get. But it's not that, because there's people, like, 2 of the people guarding the doors, presumably the same rank. Like, one of them does, one of them doesn't. Like, just consistency, okay? It just really annoyed me, and it really bugged me, because...
all in all, it's a good scene.
I believe it was one of the things... People always talk about Wonder Woman not wearing enough, and I genuinely think it makes sense. I actually do. I think annoying it's the only female character, it'd be nice to have another one who is clothed, so it looks less like we've just made the female character all not wearing clothes. But I do get it. I can defend that. It's just... it drove me mad. It was just frustrating me so much. It distracted me from one of the coolest scenes.
Yeah.
God. Also, it was cool, and I like the way they sacrificed all the Amazons. And I think it proves that the Amazons, by behaviour, are just like, yeah, we'll just all die. That's fine. Fair enough.
Yeah, they very much felt like they were portrayed as this, we're going to cut our nose off to spite our face kind of people.
Yeah.
We're going to stick to our guns because we think we're right, and, you know, even if we all die, it's still worth it because we stood our ground. But yeah, but you're also dead, so...
Yeah. So, James Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner James Gordon. Why does he exist? I don't like J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, but it doesn't matter because he's barely in it.
Yeah. We need to cast someone as this. We're going to get a big name, so we're going to get J.K. Simmons because he's cool.
Because he's got the tash. I can't think of any reason of him a mustache.
Yeah.
He just
he's a good actor as well. But then it's but we've done it so that we can have him in the next in the Batman movie that's now never going to happen. So pointless.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a lot to do. He might have been better if you see more of him, but yeah, whatever. Ryan Choi, Dr. Ryan Choi.
Yeah. Who we know is
actually.
Actually, is he actually in?
In what?
Because I knew he was cast as the Atom, but I thought he's in other movies, isn't he?
No.
He's in Shazam 2.
No, he's not in anything.
No, it's Atom Smasher's in.
Atom Smasher is in.
That's why I thought it.
Black Adam.
Yeah.
But a different person. Dr. Ryan Choi is the Atom who is DC's Ant-Man. There you go. Explained it that way. He's been on the CW.
He is, but he's not the first Atom either.
No. Anyway, Dr. Ryan Choi, great. I thought he was a really good. He brought something to those scenes. I thought he was. Cool.
I think as a world building thing, you got to think. But when this movie was originally made, which he was obviously cast in originally as well, it's not just a reshoot thing. It's important to have these characters just kind of littered throughout, so that it means that just as Marvel's done, you can then do more with them on a later date.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he was cut. I think he was great.
Yeah.
Much better than Commissioner Gordon.
Well, it's because they cut all the Solid Stone stuff, so he would make no sense.
Yeah. Okay. Who is next? Who should we talk about? Oh, well, we've still got 2 members of Justice League. The Flash. Okay. I don't know how I feel about the Flash, because I think he has some visually stunning
they've got the visuals perfect, yeah.
I love the CW Flash was like TV running and like, oh, look how cool this looks. And I was like, well, how do you make it look good? Because that's basically it. You can make it look better. You can spend more money, but like that's the effect, right?
Yeah.
And they've just done something so much clever. The way the lightning sort of ricochets and bounces off, I think, is beautiful. It's fantastic. But also his character's really... I liked him at moments, and then other moments I'm just like, I don't get you.
Yeah. Okay, so people may know I'm a massive advocate for the CW universe. I absolutely adore Grant Gustin. You know, I've got the Flash leather jacket. It's brilliant. I just love it.
Just because you say you like it doesn't mean they'll give you a job. That's
not.
More. It might seem that's how it works, but I presume there are more.
One of these days, I'll pitch a new CW TV show, and they'll get me.
Wait, pause, because I'm just going to rip the CW for a second. Shall I pitch you a new CW show? Just off the top of my head. Okay, take any superhero from DC. Yeah. And then make it poorly. There you go. Done. Job done.
Right. But the thing is, the one thing I love about the CW version of Barry Allen is that Grant Gustin is a good Barry Allen.
Grant Gustin is great.
Barry Allen, as a character, he's a scientist. He's constantly curious. And yes, the motivation for it, as we see just in this movie, is the death of his mother.
Yeah.
My issue with Ezra Miller's Flash, it's as if they've gone, he's a speedster, so it means everything happens so fast for him, so he needs to be skitty. And he is. He's like a skitty cat who's just legging it everywhere to go, nah, and I just don't get it.
I saw this. I can't remember where. It was either in an article or in a video I watched. Someone saying what they always do to speedsters, and they always make them really annoying. Someone made the best point ever, which basically, people never seem to want to make a speedster really relaxed because they have.
I know exactly where you've seen this. I was watching it when you called me this morning.
What?
It was the Weekly Planet's Caravan of Garbage on the latest.
There you go.
Justice League, on the Smallville Justice League.
I knew I'd seen this one. It's like, why are they always these sort of freaking out, jumping around the place characters?
Yeah.
When they have literally all the time in the world, why is no one chill? And now it bothers me because I can't think of a single speedster that isn't like, I guess a bit Quicksilver in X-Men.
Yeah, I think
to be fair, both versions, both in Age of Ultron.
WandaVision did it.
Yeah.
And I think CW's Grant Gustin isn't skitty. He's still quite fast paced, but he's not.
No, he is
over the top.
At least in the stuff I'd seen, he very much is.
He has episodes, yeah. But there are, as you said, there are positives with this Flash.
The visuals are stunning, and it's the best speeds. I think genuinely the word I would use is visionary, which I would use a couple of times in this, not everywhere, but I think the way he represents the Flash on screen is truly visionary, and I think cartoons, video games, all that sort of stuff are going to take from this because it's beautiful. What
I love about it, especially in that sort of like final scenes where he's sort of figuring out he can change time and stuff like that, is that they take the comic origin of the Speed Force as being generated by Barry Allen.
Yes.
And go, we're not going to explain this because it's just way too much to try and put in this movie. I doubt they'll even put it in Flashpoint, in the new Flash movie. Yeah. But they visually represent that by literally having every step he takes as he's using the Speed Force as creating the Earth underneath him. And I watched that and went,
when he goes back in time,
incredible.
I think it was one of the, like, again, we've seen Superman fly around the Earth and go back in time. I think seeing him like run to the past and literally he's running and rebuilding the world around him, I think was really cool.
Yeah.
I think I liked the way when his shoes burst off. I like when we think sciencey in terms of speed. So like, your shoes would just shred.
The way that the glass bends before it smashes.
Yeah, I think one of the things that bothered me, so when we saw him in Justice League, the way that he runs, he looks like an idiot.
Yeah.
And he still looks like an idiot. And then I noticed something, it was at the end. He looks like he's pulling on a rope as he runs. And it's like he's pulling himself, the Speed Force being this sort of liquid goopy thing, that he's literally pulling himself.
Well, it's air resistance, isn't it? I think the reason why he does it is because he's using, it's the way that ice skaters run. Because because of the fact that their body's going so fast, they have to literally almost aerodynamicize their movements.
But I mean, he's not just putting his arm out. Lesser. He's actually grabbing the air in front of him. That's what I thought was just really cool. And it doesn't change his wonky, wobbly running, but it makes me...
He keeps falling over.
I don't understand why he runs so weird. But it just makes me appreciate a bit more as if it's intentional.
Yeah. The one thing I would say about The Flash, though, and this is a big difference that I noticed in this version and in the Justice League. So a lot of people said that one of the comments they made about the Justice League is it was lighter. They were making more jokes.
Yeah.
And I think this is where genuinely people all around the world, it's not just an American thing, it's just anyone who is ever writing any comedy needs to learn, is that you don't write things and go, I want this to be funny, or don't write something and go, right, he needs to say something funny now. This movie was arguably funnier with less jokes in it because it was more sarcasm and wit. And it was natural, and I think that's where... And the only way you can ever have funny jokes in a movie is if you've got some really funny and talented people who then ad-lib, thinking, get help with Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston. These people are improvising and they're genuinely funny people. Well, don't try and write it.
One of the things, so speaking from a writing perspective, having written a show before, having written jokes into that show, and then having sat with the audience and watched that show, the jokes didn't land, and everything that wasn't supposed to be funny, not everything, but things that weren't supposed to be funny were what was funny, and the things that were supposed to be jokes were just like, ha. Because you can see them coming a mile away, whereas all the things that are just naturally funny were just naturally funny.
Yeah, well, like you've acted in a show that I wrote which had jokes in it, and it was exactly the same sort of thing. And even you as an actor was saying, this isn't funny, but I know how to make it funny by the way that we're reacting in the scene. The actors do the work. The actors make it funny.
And I'd agree that I think a lot of stuff struggles. I think Marvel has actually done quite well because it doesn't do a lot of jokes. It just does a lot of commentary on itself.
Yeah.
And characters are aware of where they are and aware of how stupid this is and are just like, yeah, okay, this is happening. Yeah. And I think that comes across quite well. Last Justice League member. We've got one left.
Oh, yes, the one I forgot.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter. Aquaman. Sorry, I forgot Aquaman was in this movie because he does nothing useful. Cool,
apart
he's
from
in this movie.
Being Jason Momoa, yeah.
He's great. He's fine. He just doesn't do anything. He had a movie. His movie's better than he is in this. The movie's great. Aquaman is a really, really good movie.
Yeah. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, that's all I have to say on Aquaman. I don't think I have anything else.
There's a weird moment at the start. I like his mythology that surrounds him.
No, why is she sniffing his jumper?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I like the mythology that was around him and the way that they were talking about him, but there was a weird sniffing jumper moment. Yeah.
I'm going to keep interrupting. Why is she sniffing his jumper?
Yeah,
I don't care about the mythology.
I can imagine that Jason Momoa smells quite nice, but just don't do it on camera.
Why is she sniffing it? I just don't understand. Like not like hugging it, you know what I mean? Like holding this bit of him, but like...
smells like seaweed.
Surely he just smells like fish. Also, and my other great disappointment is that he doesn't ride a shark or anything like that. You know?
Yeah, well, they're not really under the water at any points. Much.
He could have come from the harbour riding a shark.
The only thing I will say about Aquaman, and it's actually with a character related to him, Willem Dafoe looks weird with long hair. It just doesn't suit him. Just so strange.
Because it wasn't tied back in this, was it?
No, I just looked at it and went...
He looks like a scraggly goblin. It was weird.
He does look like a scraggly goblin.
But he was fine. Again, all the Aquaman stuff was just existed. I had no problem with it. I had nothing nice about it. The air bubbles... which were clearly now proven to be Zack Snyder's, which I always thought they were, because I'm pretty sure I always thought they were.
I like the use of the waterbending power where you can take it out of a person. That was cool.
Actually, there you go. There's a positive thing. The waterbending was excellent in this movie. I loved waterbending. I want more waterbending.
Give me Aqualad.
So, Aqualad?
As in the guy from Young Justice.
Oh,
he's all waterbending. Yeah. He's cool.
But he's not in this movie.
No, that's what I'm saying. Give me Aqualad.
Oh, I thought you just said Aqualad. I was like, well, yeah, when's he in the movie? Okay, so that just about covers all the characters on the good side.
Yes. No. I have one thing to say.
I'll go on.
I don't like Martian Manhunter's design.
Oh, I forgot. I just mentioned him and immediately forgot. Martian Manhunter, he looks a bit weird. He looks like a scraggly goblin in a different way.
It's just... Just make it smooth. I don't like the lines. It just looks weird.
I know why they did the lines. They want to make him look more alien. And I think it actually works, or would work, if you ever got to the White Martian story, because White Martians look really, really alien.
Yeah, they do.
And it does make no sense to me how, like, Green Martians are, like, human but green. And then these White Martians are, like, if you've seen Young Justice, like, monsters. Yeah. Like, creatures. Like, what happened? But I could see a creature being more from the current design of Martian Manhunter. I can see that.
Yeah.
So I don't mind him so much. For those of you who don't know, that was supposed to be Green Lantern. John Stewart, Green Lantern. At the end, it wasn't. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference, particularly.
Would have been cool, but no.
Yeah, it would have been cool. What I want to talk about is Darkseid and Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Steppenwolf is a great character.
Mm-hmm.
Why he has adorable Furby eyes, I don't know.
He really does.
And it threw me off a few times. And
But I tell you what,
his eyes are real cute.
Yeah, but I tell you what though, that scene when the Furby eyes appear, they managed to make me feel sympathy for a giant spiky horned guy. Like I was looking at him going, "Oh, I feel bad for him."
I really, really, really liked him as a villain.
Yeah.
I thought it was very. He was engaging. He was a character in this movie, unlike the last one.
There was motivation.
One of the things that I genuinely want to say and spend time on, more time when we talked about Aquaman, not quite, but say how cool it was the weird projection melting thing. I thought that was so cool. I was never a fan of a weird Man of Steel, what they call the push pin board
yes
things, whatever they are. They were all right. They didn't make sense though. This melting thing is so cool.
It's very dark.
My only question, which I kept just thinking about, was so it's dripping because it's actually dripping onto the floor.
Yeah, because it's molten. Yeah.
Yeah, how's it still dripping? Because surely it would have all dripped away by now.
Well, I suppose the point in the mother box is I think it's important that it only happens once he's put the mother box into it. Because the point in the mother box is that it terraforms, doesn't it? So I suppose the idea is that thing can just keep creating metal.
You're reaching a bit, aren't you, man?
Well, I am a little bit, but I think it was just a cool design. I think it was because the fact that they had the boom tubes and the fact that they had the ability.
Did they go boom in this? I don't.
They
I
do.
Still think they did go boom.
There's a very small.
Yeah, but I want a boom. Isn't the point they go boom? Isn't that why they're called boom tubes?
Well, yes.
Am I the only one imagining?
I was waiting for Cyborg to name it. To be honest, I wanted him to name it a boom tube, but the fact that they had those,
so he couldn't.
Well, exactly. But the fact that they had that, and they had, like you saw at the end, there was almost that way of communicating. But they didn't use that because I think that giant circle. I'm going to talk to you through a window. Hello. Would have been stupid, especially when it was the fact that he couldn't speak to Darkseid. And then
I like that. He was like, "Can I speak to the manager, please?" No, you can speak to me.
Yeah,
was exactly what it felt like. Darkseid looks awesome.
He does. I was scared of him. I've got it in here. Scared of Darkseid.
He looks creepy. I like. Again, people go, well, Thanos is the same as Darkseid. No, Darkseid is not the same.
No.
Not only
Thanos
does he have
is
his own
super
story,
strong,
blah, 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 blah. The visual look of him is so arresting. The way the sort of Omega symbol is almost indented into his chest, like someone's punched him, it's all gruesome. And I think they could have even gone more. That's my only thought on him. The Omega beams look cool.
Yeah.
But I agree with what several people have said is, why are his Omega beams thin, standard laser beams, and Superman's a laser blast of the gods? That, I think, is disappointing. You see the Omega beams underwater?
Yeah, I think it's
and they're
most likely because darts. They're not the same thing.
I wish they were. I wish his Omega beam was more powerful. It just looks weak. I like the way it darts. I think that looks cool, but I do see the problem. Not the problem, but it feels a bit weak.
If they were slightly thicker and almost the same and they'd still darted, you'd be shit scared of them.
Yeah. What else did Darkseid do? Nothing.
There was that massive fight at the start. Well, there was a massive fight.
It's not at the start, it's in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle, but at the start of the whole thing.
The flashback.
Yeah.
This is the next thing I wanted to talk about. The flashback is so cool.
Yeah.
Somehow
I like how they brought in the anti-life equation. That's a really nice setup for the world. I loved the almost the end game potential of what we could have got in the future against Darkseid of this. Yeah. All the heroes, you got Ares and all Zeus and stuff like that. You've got Artemis there with her arrow, which of course you saw earlier in the movie. You have
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, you have
that's so cool.
The Green Lanterns, and obviously you could see Darkseid try and grab the power ring. I'm like, oh, that's really quite cool.
That was an amazing moment. I loved seeing him it just flew off, and he went to grab it. He knew what he wanted, and I think it doesn't matter for people who don't know. It's just okay. That was weird.
It just highlights the power of those rings and for the Darkseid to have just gone, I want that.
But I think it also highlights the universe build. Again, it's just that building of like Darkseid knows what a lantern is. Okay, he knows he wants that ring. Where's that ring gone?
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like that sequence. I think it was good when it was in Justice League. Seeing it here in full, just so cool. It's that endgame battle style thing, and I just love fights like that. It's just a horde.
That's what you watch
in the background.
Like,
you just see the person.
Yeah.
You can see that person fighting. You can see that person fighting. Yeah, it's really, really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads us on to the final sort of thing, the final sequence.
The opposite of that.
The opposite of a flashback, which is a flash forward, which is our nightmare sequence.
Yeah.
For me, the nightmare sequence that's in Batman vs Superman builds nicely into this. I think they're interesting. I think they're engaging. I think the problem is it's not going to go anywhere, which is why this one had a significant I was less engaged with this one than I was the first time, because I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if they made this? Well, they're not going to, though, are they?
It was, for me, that's the equivalent. This is DC's version of a post-credit scene. Now, the thing about why you stick around for post-credit scenes is because you're like, I want to know what they're going to tease us with us. This, for me, had all the tease of a post-credit sequence, but that post-credit sequence was the one at the end of Homecoming with freaking Captain America.
Yeah.
It was teasing us and teasing us and teasing us, and we were like, but we know it's not going to go anywhere. Yes. But it was great, and it had some really great moments in it. That conversation that he has with the Joker, as much as the Joker's performance may not have been quite as... I wanted Jared Leto to give it a second go, to really get that chance and really show people the kind of actor he can be, and I believe he can be. And as much as he showed it, it was very much kind of a middle of the nowhere kind of Joker performance. But the conversation was difficult to follow, but really important.
Yeah. I think some of the moments that were highlighted, the way he killed Robin, where he talks about his parents' death.
Yeah.
Harley
Quinn obviously being dead.
Harley Quinn being dead. I just want to see that. I don't feel like it added anything for me, because unless you were going to go and make that, I'd rather see that in a movie. I'd rather see the movie around that. It just felt like a trailer for something we will never...
It's like, we know we're not going to get this, but I want to show you what I could have done.
It was really cool to see the Flash's outfit, seeing him in that sort of future suit, seeing Cyborg in the future, seeing Wonder Woman we saw was dead, Aquaman was dead.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that those were the ones deemed the strongest, which is what people would typically say.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's, Aquaman are like the most important ones to get.
You kind of got the answer to why Lois is important, because of course Joker talked about the fact that Lois went to Bruce, and that's the reason why there's like, Lois is the key sort of thing.
Well, I think if anyone who's played Injustice or knows the Injustice universe, I think that's there's for me there's been a bit of confusion as to who killed Lois. I'm pretty sure Joker killed Lois, and that's the point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Darkseid, and it wasn't anyone else.
Well, that's why they talk about Harley Quinn, because Batman realizes that his play to get Joker to not kill Lois is Harley Quinn.
Yeah. And I do like that happened. Again, it's just I want to see all that stuff. Yeah. Deathstroke was cool. Again, we're not going to get a move of him.
I don't know the Mohawk.
No, that was weird. But there was lots of stuff, and again we have that post-credit scene with Lex Luthor and Deathstroke on the boat. There was lots of stuff that were like, I want to see more of that. And I just really, really hope that we get to see that universe. Well,
this is the question, isn't it? Are we going to?
Well, I think the best way to talk about this is as a bit of an announcement for you guys listening. So we're both headed to the Warner Brothers studios.
We'll soon.
Right now, we're going in a few minutes. It is. We're just leaving. So we're going to take the lift up to the top floor, and then we've got a meeting with the top honcho himself at the top. So
now, I know what you're thinking. We don't have the best luck with lifts, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We're gonna get in, pitch it, get the go ahead, and then we'll let you know. So we'll be doing an episode later So it'll probably come out on Tuesday, I'd say,
yeah.
just so we can get everything, all contracts signed. And
3
so
days
if you
for a
come back,
okay.
come back here on Tuesday, and we'll have a bit, and we'll be talking about where we think and where the Snyderverse should be going.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the sorts of things. Leave a comment down below what you thought of the Snyder Cut, and we will see you next time on the Two Dudes Movie Podcast.
See you soon.